Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Noble from Bywater Solutions, and with me is Erica Richardson. We are going to do our very best to stand behind this computer and not wander out among y'all. So yeah, we're here to talk about Aspen and Koha. So let's see, I guess I'll introduce myself a little bit. Mark Noble from Bywater, Aspen team lead, developer. I've been working on Aspen in various names and for various companies for like a dozen years now, which is crazy. It looks absolutely nothing at all like it used to. So it's been fun to see it evolve and change. And that's largely due to libraries given feedback. So who all, just show of hands, uses Aspen currently? Oh, yeah, lots of people. All right. Yeah. Hand it on over.
So I just put that arrow.
Just hit the arrow.
Where is it? Oh. Okay. He lied to me, y'all. So my name is Erica Richardson. I'm the Assistant Director at Benbrook Public Library. Where is Benbrook? It's just a borders Fort Worth, Texas. And so we are a small community library. We're also a special purpose district library. So what that means in Texas, there are over 500 libraries. There's only 16 special district libraries. So that basically means we are not attached to our city. We get funds directly from the state from sales tax. And so there's not a lot of red tape. There's not a lot of begging and pleading. Pretty much anything we do have a governing board. We ask, they mostly say yes, and we do our own thing. So it is a wonderful opportunity to be able to explore and do some of the fun stuff that libraries are always wanting to do. And so that's kind of our background on that. We try to be on the forefront of a lot of the makerspace technology, all of those things. And so my director has been wanting to do Koha and Aspen for a long time. So for this presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the background on how we got to be here. And then I'm going to let Mark go through and tour and do all the technical things that I don't know how to do. I just ask Mark and he tells me how to do them. And so the reason why I am here specifically, because we migrated to Koha and Aspen at the same time twice this year. And so I feel like I deserve a crown, a title, something, because that, it's been a year, okay? And it has been for everybody, but add that, and it's just been amazing. So with our special purpose district, we always say that we are special, and we do feel special because we do have the abilities to be flexible with what we want and what our patrons want. Our population is right at 23,000 right now. It's projected to reach about between 40 and 50,000 in 10 years. So we're expecting a huge growth coming up. So right now we're in the process of looking at that and saying, what can we do now to help facilitate all these bodies that are going to be coming into our small town? So we started out with Polaris, and we were part of the Metro Pack. And the Metro Pack was, I believe it was 6 libraries with Fort Worth. And this is a partnership that lasted for about 20 years. And so it worked well, everything was fine. Polaris was Polaris. And so what happened was during COVID, and I'm skipping down the timing, but during COVID, we found ourselves in a spot where contract negotiations were coming up. We didn't like hearing what they were telling us as far as some of the things that we were wanting to do for our patrons, and our patrons were asking us to do. And so what happened is we kept hearing no from Polaris. No, you can't do that. No. And so because the way we are set up, our patrons come in, there is no city to complain to. There is nobody, there's our board, but it's pretty much we're the front line, we get it all, good and bad and ugly. And so when our patrons, we're having to keep telling them no, we're looking at ourselves, why? Why are we saying no? This doesn't make sense, our patrons want this. And so we started looking at ways where we could say yes. And so that's where Koha and Aspen came in. The negotiations for Metro Pack were coming up. Polaris, we kept hearing the word no. And so basically it all just kind of came together during COVID, and we walked away from the consortium. So In July 2020 is when we started the process to leave the consortium and go on our own. As you can tell, that took a lot of staff buy-in. That took a lot of education. That took a lot of patron education on that side too. But we felt, because of the research we have done prior, that this was going to be the best move for us going forward. With Koha and Aspen, the expense just itself. And so whenever Aspen came into the picture, we were like, well, if we're already going to do all this once, why don't we add this extra layer and just do it again, just do it all at once. And so that's what we did. And so looking back, I would have much rather have done this twice rather than 4 different times this year. And so I think in the end, we made the right choice. Were we one of the first to do that?
To do both?
Do both, okay, yeah, so we were the first to do it, so you're welcome. We laid the roadmap for that. So migration number 1. Some of the things we learned from the first migration, the data retrieval was the hardest part for us. We kept being told there's a way that you can go around and do this, but it did not work for us at that point. And so it was contacting the consortium and then contacting Polaris individually to try to get our data. A process that usually should take a week took at least 6 weeks longer than expected, so which caused our go live date to go from October to November, solely because we were not able to get our data on time. And so that was the hardest part for us, because we had this whole implementation, we were all excited, we're going to do this, yeah, and then we had to wait for that to happen. But eventually we got our data, we got everything working, we went through both implementations, we did all of that, and then we got to go live, yay. The biggest problem that I remember, and again, this was a year ago during COVID, so what else have I forgotten through that time? But formatting receipt printers was the worst thing ever for us. That was the one that caught us off guard. And so we had to go back and figure out, I think that took a couple of weeks actually to really get the formatting on that. And so that was one of the lessons that we learned. We also had a very short timeline due to things out of our control that we could tell our patrons, hey, we're going to a whole new system. Hey, we're leaving this huge consortium and it's just going to be us. And so what we focused on was ILLs. Hey, you can get all these books still from ILLs and materials from ILL from any library in the country. We did not tell them it's going to take 2 to 4 weeks for those materials to arrive. And so, but we did the best that we can. And the way, and my director is a genius on some levels, but what he did is that he actually put the contract of the MetroPack on our website to our patrons and said, read the contract, you tell us if you would make the same decision. And so every time a patron came in to complain, to do this, why are you leaving, we would have that contract there. And every time they came back to us like, okay, yep, you're right, you're good, you made the right decision. And so that really helped us in a weird way, just to being so transparent. And so with that realization, moving forward, that's what we've tried to do, is just be transparent with any process change, anything that we change going forward. So migration number 2. So in November, we're all happy, we're all by ourselves, we can do our own cataloging, we can do all these things that we haven't, make all these decisions we haven't been able to make. And then we get alerted that the MetroPack with those 6 other libraries decided to also leave Fort Worth, and they wanted to form another consortium. So we're like, okay, let's do it. So we started the process in February of joining with those same libraries, plus adding another library that was brand new from a whole nother system into the fold. So we started from scratch and created an entirely new consortium called the MetroShare. And so this is our nifty logo that we came up with. And so basically that group that had left the MetroPack had done their own research, and they had looked at all the different ILSs. They had looked what they wanted. And after looking at everything, they decided Koha and Aspen was the best choice for them as well. So we all got together, sang Kumbaya, did all these wonderful things, and then started the process of merging into a brand new consortium. And so Bywaters made it very easy for us. They just basically copied all of our koha information and plugged it in. And so each of the libraries had a template to use that we did not have going for that first one. And so it made it a lot easier in a ways, and it made it easier to make those decisions and going forward. Go live number 2, port numbers are very important to tell all your electronic resource vendors that they have changed. So there's about 4 days there where we had no Libby, no Hoopla, no cloud library, that we had to go, we're working on it, I promise. And so that's our second big lesson, our port numbers. They are very important. So again, 2 migrations in 1 year, because we were so transparent, because we had to say, yes, we're changing again, but this time we've made friends. And so one of my coworkers, the way that he put it is that we divorced. We went through a really ugly, bad divorce, and then we found new love. And so now we're getting married again. And so that's the analogy we kind of use for our patrons, because they actually understood it and got it. And so that's kind of what we've taken and rolled with. And so for us, again, that transparency with the patrons was vital. And the MetroShare consortium, we've been officially going a month now. August 23rd was go live. And so that has worked out. There's been some kinks, obviously. There's always going to be kinks. Again, the second something will go wrong, always it will go wrong. But as long as you have that structure and that foundation and you have strong support staff, you will make it through. That was our big lesson. And then, like I said, staff support is crucial. So we had a lot of buy-in with our staff. We had to actually go back to our staff and say, hey, I know y'all like doing your own thing now. We've been doing it for a while, but now we're gonna make friends again. We're gonna have to change everything all over again. And so that, again, that transparency, why we're doing this, why it's so important. And honestly, that move from to Aspen really made it worth it for us. Okay.
All right. So let's take a look at the catalog. Let's get there first before we do anything else. Okay, let's get that out of the way. There we go. Here's Benbrook's wonderful catalog. And when we go through implementation with a new library and start working with them, one of the things we really want to do is make sure that we sit down and our implementation specialists, Addie and Morgan, will sit down and try to really understand what is important to you. Because like we heard yesterday at the keynote, you're the ones that know your patrons best. Aspen is really designed to be patron facing. We want to make sure your patrons are getting what they want from the catalog. So when we talked to Benbrook, there were a couple of things that were really important. So the library of things, like Erica mentioned earlier. So we've got our library of things here. We've done some really cool stuff, like we can upload custom covers, browse all of those, be able to find them so we can find our disc golf kit and check that out. We also have some binge boxes that were really cool. So we can check out all of our super duper heroes books. And then the academic resources were something that were really important, because that was something that we didn't want to lose migrating off as we were moving. So so we worked with the library as we brought in more libraries into MetroShare. We wanted to make sure that they each were supporting their libraries as well. So just because we're all part of one consortium doesn't mean we all do things the same way at all. So everybody gets their own catalog. So we've got Benbrook, we've got Keller. I'm not going to show them all, but I'm going to butcher this. Watauga? Watauga. Dang. So close. We've got Burleson, And everybody, as we see, has different things that they want to show off. So here we've got our 10 to try. We've got all kinds of different banned books. We've got things before you were born. Let's see if they're before I was born. Yep. So different page to screen. So we want to really personalize the experience for the patrons of each library, just because everybody's doing different things. So some of the things, as I've been listening to different presentations this last couple of days. So somebody was saying this morning, hey, I thought this was Discovery, but what Sam was showing was more like a CMS. We can add web pages and we can add menu links and that kind of thing. And it's really kind of evolved over the years to be everything patron facing. So we really want to make sure that we can do that. We'll talk about the presentation Erica, or new project Erica wants to do towards the end. But it's really evolving as we listen and work with libraries to see what all they need. So we're building in web pages because Sam needed an easy way to build in web pages. So we've got those and integrate in events. And how many people saw Sam's presentation yesterday? How many people didn't see Sam's presentation? Kelly. So I won't repeat all of Sam's presentation because he did a wonderful job yesterday, but if you want to catch up, we'll definitely do that. So some of the other things that we've built in that we didn't see as much yesterday are things like being able to get some recommendations. So we know that libraries and patrons don't always know exactly what they're looking for, or they find something they like and need other ideas. So let's just, book title? Harry Potter, okay. So we're gonna place a hold on Harry Potter. Oh, I'm gonna let's log in here.
Is that the test account I made for you yesterday?
Yeah.
So I created an account so he could go in and look at it. And so, you know, that took 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
It was awesome. I was even at home on my day off, so I was able to do it from home.
Right, which is awesome.
That's
It's
why.
so high and it's all web-based. You don't have to be in the library.
Which really helped for COVID too, by the way.
Yeah. And of course I can't type here. So let's see, 1, 2, 4, 2, 10, 3. Ah, missed a 0. All right, so we're going to do this. So now some of the cool things with Koha and Aspen that make it even better than a lot of the other ones, because Aspen will work with any ILS, but we like Koha best. And part of that is we're really able to read a lot of the settings directly from Koha. So all of that functionality that you have in Koha is available in Aspen. You don't have to re-enter a bunch of settings to make things work the way you want them to. So we really streamline that setup process for you. And then as we place holds, we've got some additional recommendations. So we really want to make it easy for patrons to serendipitously discover content. So yeah, maybe I've heard of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, but I've never heard of The Hand on the Wall. So maybe I'll take a look at that and see if that looks good. And from here, I've just got a spider's web of other titles in the series. So bringing in that novelist content, all of that enrichment. And of course, we've got our Hoopla, Overdrive, Cloud Library, Access 360, all of the different e-content materials, which of course, in a consortium, not everybody subscribes to the same stuff. So we're separating it out according to each individual library. So we each get to see only what our patrons can use. So we're not annoying the patrons with, here's a bunch of stuff you might like, but you can't have it, sorry. Then we can see some other titles that we might like. So we can really just go through this and spider into all kinds of different things. So, yeah.
So all this extra stuff
Yep.
that comes in that we don't get through our own platform. Is that, how is that there? Do we input all of that to get it to do that, or does this come off of a database that?
Okay. Yeah, so the question was, how do we get all of this content? You wanna?
No, you go for it.
Okay. So the answer is, it depends. So some of this, like also in the series, is content that we're bringing in from novels. So that's an extra subscription. That does show things like also in the series, similar series from novelists, similar titles from novelists. So if we go into that, we get a little more information about it. If you don't want to use that, the more like this functionality, that's all based off the metadata in the records. So that works for everything. So free included, nothing additional to pay for. You don't have to go out to Syndetics or Content Cafe or Novelist to get that. It works also for not just books. It'll work with DVDs. It'll work with music. So any of those resources that your patrons are using, they can get other ideas. Then of course, there's ways to get, so let's look at some different lists. I'm gonna guess. So if we look for like educated, so some of these, let's see what lists you have. So some of these series will come out of the metadata. So we'll pull that from Hoopla or from Overdrive or your marked records.
Yeah, one of the things that I will mention too is that you have to remember, we went through 2 migrations. So there's a lot of Aspen that we haven't played with because we've been just doing the basic, get the records over, our patrons are happy. And so we're just now at the point where we can take a breath and say, oh, hey, we can do this. Or, hey, I forgot it did that because I learned about that a year ago. And so there's some capabilities that you're not going to see on our site because we haven't gotten there in a emotional, less trauma way. And so we're, like I said, we're now at the point to where we can do a lot of that now. And so it's becoming better and better the more that we have it because the functionality is getting more. And then plus we're able to do more with it because we have the time and energy.
So, and a great example of that is lists. So lists are things that librarians can make. They can be searchable. So we can say, hey, here's a bunch of different New York, in this case, New York Times that we're bringing in automatically. This title's on 3 different New York Times lists. And we can click on those to see other books in that. Some libraries, Arlington Public Library in Virginia has created got over 1,000 staff lists that they've created over the years. So those are really good resources. Those also are really good at showing up in Google results, which is cool. So if you do searches we've got a few different searches that you can actually find Arlington Public Library nationwide based off the book lists that they've created, which is cool. So just got some great ways to find those things.
And the academic resources, the reason why we did that, because as a public library, it's, getting the databases and telling people about them and what they can do and all of that is hard. And they traditionally, in some ways, get buried, even though we try to push that information forward. So that's why it was important for us to put it up there and put it as academic. So that some of those databases that don't get utilized as much as we want them to, maybe that would push. And so far from the stats, we have seen just a little bit of extra usage, which, just makes us happier. So.
While we're there, is it possible to click on Makerspace? Because that's sitting so weird. Where is that supposed to be?
Makerspace should be sending us to the trainings. Oh, not Gale eBooks.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, that's on our end. And so the Makerspace, so we do have a really robust Makerspace. area. And so I believe it was supposed to go to our website that has all the training videos and all of that that go along with the makerspace. And so, thank you.
It's ever evolving content, so.
Every day.
Yep. Yeah, so all of those resources are customizable. What I love is that we can, like, as libraries, kind of riff off each other, and where we've got some of those different lists. I think Keller had so they've got their cool checkouts that is similar to what was done with the Library of Things. So it's the, here's our activity kits, here's our tough talks. So every month we've got Aspen gatherings where we can kind of share those ideas with how do we promote these things that we're spending a lot of staff time, money, make sure that patrons know about them so that we can do that. Which people will browse the catalog and find those things. They're also looking for things like, I just want to learn how to crochet. So we want to do things that say, hey, if you're looking to learn how to crochet, we've got this library of things. Let's go through, let's click and see the entire collection, because our crochet kit isn't necessarily more relevant than all of the magazines and the how-to guides and books and that kind of thing. But we want to get in there and see it all. So we can click into the full collection. We've got, oh, in this case, we're just looking at kits. So let's see.
And I will say too, with coming in with a consortium, one of the issues, right, with 7 different libraries was some have McNaughton collections, some have too hot to handle, is what Keller calls theirs. And so those are collections, and we have our library of things that we don't necessarily want to circulate on a courier, or we want to be able to have accessible. So we decided that we've got the settings to where a patron can come in and check those out, but they can't be sent over to another library through the courier system. So we don't care if other patrons come in and get it. We just want it to be accessible for those patrons. And so they just don't end up on the courier. So those are some of those consortium level things that Aspen made it really easy to do a lot of those things, where with other ILS systems, it took a lot of wiggling and maneuvering, and Aspen just innately was able to do some of that stuff. Now you have to know what settings to use, and that's where Mark comes in. Yeah. And kind of guides you along the process, but it really helped along with a lot of those consortium level decisions that we had to make.
Are there other questions? And we'll go.
Are you going to go back and explain how crochet and that placard came up?
Yeah, so the placard is showing up based off different keywords. And so you can create these on your own. We've got libraries that are doing them for read-alikes, that are doing them for special events. McKinney's working on putting some in for events that'll show like event calendars, list of upcoming things so that you can register events straight from Aspen. Basically, you just create some different keywords and say, okay, we know we want it to show up for crochet, croquet, binoculars, bird watching, whatever you have. You just say, hey, this is when we want to show it, and it shows it. You can change the look of this. So like Arlington has one that's beautiful. It's always fun when people do things with software that you don't think they can do, which is really cool. So they created a beautiful read-alikes placard that allows you to see other titles when you're searching for the one that you just read. So we can see that later if we want to. Yeah. Other things before we go on? So other things, like as I was talking to or listening to things, well, I guess I'll just say again, like a lot of where our development is driven is based off listening to libraries. So it's during the implementation as people come up with new projects. So we're really learning from you all to optimize Aspen to do what you need to serve your patrons the best. So one of the other quotes yesterday from the keynote was that open source grows with you and won't become obsolete. And I really think that's true. So over a dozen years, we've been able to build the platform so that it does way more than discovery. Really serves the need of the libraries well. Do we want to talk about some of the other projects that we're thinking
Yeah,
about?
we can do that. And so one of the things that came up in an email, I can go ahead. It's me again. Hi. One of the things that came up in the email that I saw about Aspen was that they're doing website builders. One of the issues, or including website builders, one of the issues that we've been having at our library are our lovely friends, which, right, sometimes we call frenemies depending on what's going on with the group. But they have started an online, or they're wanting to start selling books online. So one of the things, the larger city library, Fort Worth, stopped taking donations. So a lot of the patrons found the nearest library that does, and then we have been overwhelmed with donations recently. And so we've done different things. There's an antique mall in Benbrook, and so we took a booth there so we didn't have to staff it. And so there's a little bookshop in there, but we're still overwhelmed with all these books. And so we were looking at doing it online. And so when I saw the Aspen website builder, I was like, hey, wait, I wonder if I can do something like that. And so that's what I've been in talks with Mark, is if there's a way to make a friends website from there. And if there's a way to do an online component with those books. And so we started going back and forth. We do have an eBay shop. So there's I almost said widget, that's funny. There's a widget that you can put in and embed with eBay that can link you directly to the eBay store. But what we were interested in is doing some kind of very small amount of cataloging, bring up the title covers and Koha and be able to link that to Aspen. And so even just right before this presentation, Mark and I were both going over those possibilities, saying, well, maybe we could do this, maybe we can do that. So again, this is just one of those things. We've been having this issue. We need a resolution, trying to figure it out. And then I just see this email and it starts off this chain of events. And luckily with Bywaters, we were able to have that person to contact and have those just brainstorming ideas of what will work. And so honestly, if I were to say the best thing I love about Aspen, the best thing I love about Koha is that right there, that ability to go back and forth and to have solutions to some of the issues that we've been going on and not being told just no and forget about it. And so that's kind of where we are with that. So hopefully in the next, I don't know, a couple of weeks, we can start, once we catch our breath, and start looking at that and get with our friends group and find a way to make that work. So that would help benefit our library and the friends as well.
I'm talking about some of that, friends. So part of the idea would be to have like potentially a store, which could just be a branch. And so that's some of the cool things that we can do with Koha to kind of tie the two together. So we could set up a branch that has books that are just available through this store, just available through a special Aspen interface that is the Friends of Benbrook Public Library site. So there's all kinds of neat things we can do. And just looking at some of the different kind of web content that people have put on. So we've got our news and events with just links out to the city website, tutorial videos that link over to Niche Academy. We've got just explicit links into our advanced search. Some other libraries have done a lot more with youth or with different pages. So we've got family page. So this is all customized directly with Aspen using kind of the CMS functionality. So we've got links into different story times, different book lists. And these are super easy to create in Aspen. So just like Sam was showing how to create them yesterday, any search, any list, super easy to embed. It's iframe code, goes into any other website or straight back into Aspen. So no matter kind of what site you're using, we're just watching the last presentation on the H5P code, and that should all be pretty easy to embed as well. So I'm looking forward to the first person that does a 3D tour through the, or a virtual tour through the library and puts it in Aspen. That's gonna be really cool. So all of this then is completely responsive. I don't know how many, let's, so as we scroll down to more of a mobile size, it all resizes and rescales properly for you. So we're serving the patrons wherever they are, which is great. We love doing that. And we know mobile's definitely something that it's been a thing for a while, and there's still iOSs that don't adapt at all, but Aspen's been responsive for a long time. We are working on a mobile app as well, so we're excited to serve people that way. We're kind of looking at that as a complementary product to Aspen, or a complementary usage, so that somebody can easily see what they have checked out from their mobile device. We're working on all of the reminders. And if people saw Christopher Zorn's presentation yesterday, he was talking about building his app. And the awesome thing with libraries is we all love to share. So he was kind enough to help share that code with us to give us a starting point for Aspen. So Aspen's app is built with code that he started initially. And then we can build on it and give him things, and he can give us things, and it all gets better as we go. So he's built a ton of it. So a lot of credit goes out to him. And we're enjoying it. That app should release sometime in the next couple of weeks. So yeah. So we're looking at being able to add things like self-check to the app, add some more mobile notifications. We're looking forward to some patron engagement, pushing out some push notifications to people so that we can really engage with them. So there's all kinds of fun things we can always do. So yeah.
So going to the notifications thing, one of our issues is that everything is spam or that Bywater or Koha, whoever it is, SMS systems are not being liked by AT&T and all the other,
Okay.
whatever. So the reliability of us getting stuff out as far as what they checked out, what's on their accounts, when they do, yada, 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 is falling through the cracks a lot of times. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that hopefully with this app, they will be able to get push notifications of create or something to do or whatever that's going strictly through the app as opposed to all these third party going around you 2 or 3 times and then
Yep.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Am I hearing that correctly?
Yep. So the question was about the notifications and how hard email notifications are, and would we be able to push notifications directly through the app? And yeah, the idea would be if you have the app, it can tell you you've got a book due in 3 days, or you've got a book that's overdue today, or you have a book that's overdue 2 weeks from now or 2 weeks ago. And hopefully that delivery is a lot easier. And also we want to be able to push related content. So when you're sending that overdue notice, you could say, or a hold pickup reminder, say, here's your hold pickup reminder, or here's your checkout. Here's 3 other books you might like. So just like we saw that while you wait, here's some additional things that we can show you. Or maybe we even do stuff where it's like, hey, you've had a long wait for this book. Here's some 3 other ones that you can see, because we know it's going to take another 6 weeks to get you whatever the popular title is right now. So there's a lot of things we can do, and that's going to be a conversation with all of you to figure out exactly what we want to do on those. But the nice thing is we have the mechanisms be able to push by patron type. So you could say, let's push this out to all of our seniors or all of our teens, or that kind of thing, to say, hey, summer reading's getting ready to start. Or we were talking the homebound. So, hey, let's push to all of our seniors and say, hey, this homebound service is now available if it's something that you would find of value. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what all you all want done.
Mark, we've got a question in the YouTube chat from Victor.
Yeah.
One thing I always loved about Koha is the flexibility to customize to each library's needs. I wonder, where do you see the adoption of BibFrame into the roadmap for Aspen?
How long do we have?
About 20 more minutes.
Okay, I don't know if that's full enough. So the short answer on BibFrame. So it's another technology that's another representation of data. So in some ways, Aspen's doing some similar. So Aspen can ingest content in any format. So we're pulling MARC records out of Koha. We're pulling JSON or XML from Overdrive. We're pulling Cloud Library uses MARC records. Hoopla uses, I think, JSON feed. So we can pull content, and none of those Overdrive things are formatted as MARC generally. Or if they are, they're kind of play loose with the rules. So Aspen can pull all of those in. So if like Koha were to move to BibFrame, we could certainly ingest that. And then internally, Aspen's kind of using its own representation because we have, as we saw when we searched for, like Midnight Library. So Midnight Library, we've got the book on CD, the e-audiobook, the ebook, Kindle large print, Playaway. We've got a whole bunch of different versions. So in order to display those results, Aspen has to gather from all of those different sources, change the display so that it means something for the patron. So I guess the short answer is, if Koha did BibFrame, we could definitely use BibFrame. We'd still probably be massaging it into something different. One of the directions that we've been going with Aspen is a lot more community-based. So the community of libraries using Aspen, being able to contribute things like translations to each other. So as we translate, one of the things that Benbrook has is a Vietnamese translation. So as those are translated and contributed, we can have other libraries use those. We want to be able to do the same things with things like placards, with things like, so the placards, the browse categories, the lists, if we can share all of those. And so part of where I'm going with that is with linked data, which is what BibFrame is offering. We can do a lot of that in Aspen. So when we look at something like the Midnight Library, it has a unique ID within Aspen. So no matter what site you go to, what Aspen site you go to, this Midnight Library gets the same unique ID, which means we can kind of let all of the librarians be able to contribute content. And if you build a read-alikes list for Midnight Library, that can then apply to everybody else. So we've got a lot that we can do to really generate content and build community content, which is cool. So, I don't know if that answered the question, but it was less than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Christopher said, by the way, the placards that you see in Aspen can also be done in Koha catalog using jQuery, and it's in the jQuery library for Koha. And one of the every other Thursday training videos has an episode on how to do it.
Yep. And credit where credit's due. That idea was totally, well, I don't want to take. So Christopher proposed that at koha-US 2 years ago, and it was one of the things we built into Aspen. So, and it's been hugely popular. So again, we love getting ideas from librarians and working to make Aspen better for everyone. So thank you for that idea. It's been wonderful.
And Christopher Brennan also asks, is Aspen open source or is it a commercial product?
It is open source. Yeah.
So if you were a library that didn't have
any other subscriptions, just Koha? If you had Aspen Discovery, what would you be getting with Aspen Discovery? Without any of the other subscriptions? No novelists, no synthetics.
Yeah.
Just Aspen Discovery and base Koha.
So a much better search interface, better relevancy, all of the record grouping, the ability to easily browse, all of the content management functionality, the ability to do placards. If you have events and stuff, the ability to integrate those. We use the same COSI server that Koha can use, so you don't have to get extra subscriptions to covers. So it's a complete package. So that, and there are plenty of libraries running it without any other subscription.
You get covers, you get to the recommended also. That's
Yep.
I'd like to add, we're just going to Aspen and we're having it search, because it has the ability to search other websites, basically scrape them. We're having it pull all of our events ticketing system, and it's pulling all of the event programming into it. So, for example, if you're going to search for, I'll use one that we've worked on. If you do a search term drag, for example, in the search results, you're going to get a placard that we've created advertising our program, as well as links to the event page that talks about it, right there within the search results. And yeah, that's using your existing website. Okay.
So sorry, yeah. How much of that could you hear online, Eddie?
You want me to repeat that?
Sure. Yeah.
Mind if I go to the
That'd be
side?
great.
Contributor.
I'm going to jump to another tab here because I can.
One of the things, the reason why we chose it is the discoverability. And so we had wanted EBSCO Discover services, and we weren't able to get that in a way that we wanted the flexibility to do that. So that's the original reason why we went with Aspen, is just that extra discoverability layer. All of our TechShare databases, all these databases that we spend a lot of money on and contribute to, we wanted that to be able to be accessed and to be more accessible than what it is now traditionally. And so that's the reason why we went with Koha without all the extra stuff that we've gotten. We're doing a workaround. I think y'all figured it out.
I've done it in Koha. And tomorrow and Friday, Mark and I are going to figure it out for Aspen. Yes. Oh, yes, it's working fine. It's been working fine since 6 months after the koha-US in Pueblo. It works fine. I think you all are using it now too. Yeah. The hard part was getting the state library to believe us that it was a password. The only way you can get to that URL is by being authenticated. That's a whole nother story. So you do a search here and it pulls up in the placard a link out to the event where you can get ticketed. It's got all of our other events, our city calendar, these things appearing in here. So you get that. Okay, back to you.
What other questions do people have?
And I will say, going back with what I know now, after a whole year of all of this, I would absolutely do it again in a heartbeat. Just the ease, not the implementation. That was fun. I wouldn't say easy, fun, but everything that we've gotten from that and that patron satisfaction. I mean, I have not heard one complaint from Aspen from a patron, except, no, I take that back. There's one. No, there is one. He checks out 50 books at a time. And so when auto renewals come up, it's not digested. So he gets 50 emails that his item has been auto-renewed. So that's coming in the next fix, is what I heard. But other,
That's
that's
Koha.
Koha, yes, yeah, exactly. But that's the only complaint, patron complaint we have gotten with Koha or Aspen. And so for that, that's phenomenal, and we will keep going. And we, like I said, we do it again.
What other questions? So here's some of the resources that we have. So we've got Aspen Weekly, which is a weekly newsletter that we all take turns writing on the team. So it's got all sorts of different news, updates, tutorials, just to learn more about it. We've got a great archive of material that you can go through. Some of them are technical, some of them are not that technical. If you have ideas for other things you want to read about it, that'd be great too. We have a monthly Aspen gathering on the second Thursday of every month that everybody's free to join if you're interested. And then we've got a couple of webinars coming up that we'd love to see you at. Are there other questions that we can answer now?
Yeah. So we have another question in the YouTube chat from Christopher. Do you have diehards that still want the Koha catalog from any of your Aspen libraries?
That Aspen libraries, they're still, oh, you mean
like patrons
that still
want
want it?
Yeah, I think that's what he means.
That's not a comment I've heard.
No, we never had Koha catalog, all our patrons know is Aspen. And because we went initially doing both at the same time, the migration with Koha and Aspen at the same time, both times that we did it. So,
and then people in the audience that have migrated are all shaking their heads that they don't have patrons wanting to go back. There's people that would love us to create a DOS interface. We're not there yet. We're gonna figure out the completely command line interface, but not quite yet. So, yeah. Well, we're just gonna scan those and just do a flip chart. Yeah. So there's two different interfaces, so we can see either all of the different formats together. So we can see Midnight Libraries available in all kinds of different formats. This is the page that most people will get to, showing the description more like this, again, from just regular metadata. We've got all of the subject information, and that's pulling, in this case, from all of the different records. Similar titles if you're subscribing to that. Similar authors, reviews from Goodreads, staff view. So in this case, this is showing the combined data. So this is where we're taking data from all of the different sources and grouping it all together so we can see everything all together. Yep. Right, we can go out to like Syndetics or Content Cafe, but it's the MARC records, the Overdrive records, Cloud Library, all of those. Yep. All of these can be reordered, so Aspen's got a ton of customization to it. That's part of, as we're helping people implement, we work through what order do those want to be in. If you're part of a consortium and you can't agree on what order they should be in, that's fine. Each library can pick their own. So we've given up trying to tell libraries how to do things. So everybody wants to do them differently. So yeah. And then if we do want to see a particular one, so we can look at, here is just the book. We can see, of course, all of the call numbers, status of each individual item, where those are across the consortium. We get a little bit of additional information. We get some citation information. You get to see all the other editions. Then we can actually see the staff view, so we can see the MARC record there for the people that want to see the staff view. Different sections will display depending on the content type. So if it's an Overdrive title, we'll show you all the raw metadata that we're getting out of Overdrive or Hoopla or that kind of thing, staff view. Then Ed was showing, I closed it. We do have, and Sam was showing it to the open archive so we can see all of the different images and that kind of thing. So, and then be able to relate those. So if I'm doing a report on it's a broad topic, but we'll just do Texas.
It is a broad.
Fairly broad. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so it's showing all of that result, all of those archive results. So we can easily go through and find all of those materials. So the whole goal, or one of the main goals with Aspen, is to find all of your content in one place, whether that's events, local history archives, web resources, your books.
Traditional, non-traditional,
Yep.
anything you can think of.
Yeah, so we do, there's the ability to catalog all of your resources, so you can see brain fuse, text share, all of those things. Just, we want to make it easier for patrons to discover all of the amazing things that libraries have.
We have a couple more questions in the YouTube. Both of them are from Christopher. Do you offer community patching and QA similar to how Bugzilla is used for Koha?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one?
Yeah. Do you offer community patching / Q&A? Or I wonder if that
Yeah.
is supposed to be QA similar to Koha's Bugzilla?
Yeah, we don't have a Bugzilla system, but we do accept patch requests. We have a couple of libraries contributing code, and we don't have a formal QA process at this point, but we do have a number of libraries running test servers, looking for any issues as releases come out. We've got a more rapid release cycle than Koha, so we're not releasing every 6 months. We're releasing roughly every 3 weeks to kind of adapt and roll the functionality out to patrons and libraries.
And it looks like there's also a issues tab in the GitHub.
Sorry,
People
what?
can-
Oh,
on
add
issues.
GitHub? Yeah.
Yeah. So that people can report when they have issues.
So typically we've been just asking people to put in Bywater tickets right now, so.
But if someone didn't have Bywater, if they were like installing it themselves and running it since it's open source,
Oh,
they could put in an
email us.
issue.
Yeah, just we've got a Slack workspace that anybody could join, as well as just email us, let us know.
Great. And then Christopher also asked, how does this look on mobile?
Sam says awesome. Do you want more details? Yeah, it's fully responsive. So as we search for Midnight Library, it's going to fully adapt, and you're going to see all the content. Some of it will get collapsed, but it's full functionality. Everything works great. Let me see if I can. So if we go back and look at titles on hold, we can see all of our titles on hold for physical materials. So everything shows up. Once we have the app will not have as much functionality, at least to start. So it's more of a complementary product at this point. So we're going to use it to do the stuff that you need an app to do. So like scan a barcode, be able to, or scan an ISBN when you're in the bookstore to see if your local library has it. Some of those self-check kind of functionalities that you're not going to use your computer or desktop for. So unless somebody might carry a desktop and try to self-check. So
Well, they carry
Do you have-
desktops in. I don't know about self-check.
We do have one more question in the chat. Also, we have a break now for 15 minutes, so if people need a break, I understand we'll have the next thing in 15 minutes, but we do have one more question in the YouTube chat. Melissa asks, how does it work with Overdrive if you use an Advantage membership? No, Koha didn't do well with syncing those records.
Yeah, so Aspen will automatically bring in through the APIs all of your titles, all of your Advantage titles, all of your Advantage Plus titles. They've got new models that they don't have APIs for yet, but everything that Overdrive does, all of those Advantage models all work great. You see all of the materials that you have access to without having to see all the other ones. And that works both if all of your members are part of one Overdrive consortium. We've got an installation that's got 3 different Overdrive collections. So we've seen it all, I think, from that's true.
Don't say that.
I keep burning myself. We have seen a lot of things. So the Overdrive integration is really robust and supports all of the oddities that Overdrive keeps coming up with so far, but they're coming up with new ones too. So, and same with Hoopla and Cloud Library. So you can load all of the Hoopla records in. You can limit by price so that you can say, I only want to show things to my patrons that are under $2 to check out. You can say, I don't want to show the comic books. You can say, I do want to show the comic books. I only want to show the comic books. Lots of different options, and that can all be controlled again per library within the consortium. So, or if you're a single site, you obviously get to do whatever you want. So.
Okay, thank you very much. There's no more questions in the chat right now. So thanks so much for your presentation.
Hey, we did it.
It's very interesting. I love learning about Aspen. I love trying to convince my library to go onto Aspen.